Hello everybody, welcome to today, I believe 70 of my Casting Everyday Challenge, and back again on the Frozen versus X-Hope matchup here. It's 1-1 right now, and they're both fighting for their way into the quarterfinals still. Yes, I understand that this has been over for a while now, it's just I need some practice, so I grabbed some random games and want to get this series done eventually, and I'm busy, so I can't do entire matches. I can only do a game at a time, so this is going to be a Priest versus Rogue matchup, and this is, I feel like, going to favor the Priest quite a bit unless X-Hope can get something down pretty early. Because the greatest thing about Priest is being able to put down those high health minions that are just hard to deal with. And that is the Priest win condition, I really feel like, is just keep going, keep having board control, just keep making it really hard for your opponent to deal with your minions and just slowly chip them down over time. And that is the Priest way of winning. Now, the Rogue way, if this is Miracle Rogue, then it's going to be to get a big Edwin, get a big questing and do damage over time to then be able to make it so that, oh, you can't deal with my quest and you can't deal with my Edwin, or put enough damage down for a Leroy combo with Cold Blood at the end. We've seen some people go Water Rogue as well, which is more of an aggro style with Finja as well, but I'm not sure if that is what he's going for. We'll have to see as this game goes on. But the one thing about this Buccaneer that comes out, it only grabs a Holy Smite, not really the greatest of cards here, and this is a great card for Frozen to be able to chip off with that Cleric and then heal to get some more card draw. So a really good pickup for Frozen there, and X-Hope is actually wondering if he should throw down the other Buccaneer or not. Because if he does, it could actually go against him, because that gives now another thing, or sorry, the Swashbuckler, I'm saying Buccaneer, I mean the Swashbuckler, because that gives another target then for that Cleric to get additional cards on. And he might also be thinking of possibly using the Holy Smite now. Make it so that Frozen can't get any card draw, and I would really like that play. You don't want to allow the Priest to get those cards, because if you see Frozen's hand, this is just an awful hand. He doesn't have any dragons. He doesn't have any of those low-cost dragon cards that he will want to use to get something out. Like, he doesn't have any taunts, so no Twilight Guardian, no Wormist Agent. There's really nothing for him, and with only the Talon Priest, yeah, that's not a dragon activator at least, but he needs something in order to get these dragons rolling, and he has to hope that his next draw or two is going to be perfect, or he might just fall farther and farther behind. So if X-Hope ever had a beat on it, it's still pretty early, so he wouldn't at this point, but he is going to go ahead and use that Holy Smite, so you'd have thought that a Holy Smite would have been a bad pickup from the Swashbuckler, but this time it was almost exactly what he needed, and it's going to really help him out. And another Talon Priest, this is just not good for Frozen at all. He's going to have to coin out the Talon Priest he has just to put something on the board, because like we said, they like having those big health minions, and that's going to be 3 health that won't be going on a minion. That's really, really detrimental for this Priest, and I think X-Hope is realizing how bad of a hand Frozen has, and he's just going to go ahead and use that questing, and I really like the pickup here. Clear the board, get yourself a 4-4 that's going to continue to rise, and putting it at the perfect attack at 4 right now, so Frozen can't even deal with it. I love the play here by X-Hope. And still, not a good job for Frozen. He finally got a dragon. That is great. But it's still a dragon activator within itself, so he's not going to be able to use that Bookworm's ability with that, and Frozen is going to hold up. I do like this play here, just holding back, realizing that you have Death, so if X-Hope plays anything, that questing adventure is going to be gone. So I wonder if X-Hope is going to play around Power Word Death. He knows that Frozen does run 2 in his deck, but did he draw any? He knows he has an awful hand right now, so it's probably a good chance that he does have that Power Word Death, so he can still at least go 4 damage to phase and then just wait and leave that questing up, or he could go ahead and throw the bar and see what he gets, maybe throw down a Buccaneer as well to see if he's able to make that a 6-6 instead of a 4-4, but we'll have to see what X-Hope's going to do, because one of his win conditions is that questing. He probably does run 2 in his deck, so that means that if this one's going to be gone, then he still has another one to fall back on, but look at his hand. It's not that good either. Both players here not having a really good opening hand here, and it's really who's going to be able to play with these bad cards for the longest. And X-Hope, he's running out of steam already. He only has 3 cards in his hand, and he's really wondering if he should play around Power Death or not. And we'll have to see if he plays anything. I think he realized it, and he's not going to play anything. A good call here by X-Hope. That's going to allow him to deal additional damage down the line, possibly, with that questing surviving. So I love that play there by X-Hope. Now, Frozen's finally going to be able to get some things. That Another Spit of Storing is huge because even if you get like a 10 or a 9 mana dragon, it doesn't really hurt you because it's going to sit in your hand. You're going to be able to use it in the late game for when you're for when you're fishing for cards, and then you finally have this big monster of a card at the end. Or what you could always do is just keep it in your hand for the longest time and use that as your dragon activator. So that is one thing that's amazing about the Nether Spite Historians. Even if you don't find a dragon that you use right away, it can still sit in your hand and still be useful. And that's one thing that's great about this priest archetype with these dragons. But he's actually going with the Twilight Whelp instead. He's valuing the early game a lot more than I would have thought so. I thought the Nefarian would have been good, but I think he's realizing of how poor his early game was, and he doesn't want to prolong that any longer. He wants to be able to get something on the board next turn, and I think that's what he's doing this time around. Exo at this point is not going to hold back any longer. He realizes if he plays around death, it's just going to work worse and worse. And ooh, the Auctioneer, that is such a big pickup. The only problem is that Frozen has an easy way to answer that. And the Cabal Courier can be helpful down the line, but this is just not looking good. And he's actually going to value the Auctioneer. That's 6 damage that he's not pushing to face because he wants the Auctioneer to live. And unless a Power Word Pain comes out, but it isn't going to, so great pickup by Exo here. He realizes that 6 damage could have been great for him, but the Priest is going to heal it up over time, and he's running out of cards, so he does need something. And the Conceal! Oh, that is a perfect pickup for him. The only thing that's bad for Exo is that there's nothing on the side of Frozen to use these saps for, but it won't matter as he picks up the Conceal to be able to use next turn. These are not too great of Cabal Couriers. The Cabal Chemist might be the best here because Shadow Word Horror is not really going to be that useful. There's only the Wormrust Agent and the Twilight Drake, really, that he's going to be able to use that on. But this pickup of the Conceal, that was just a massive top deck, and this is going to really help Exo. Now next turn, with the Fan of Knives waiting as well, Frozen would need something big here to change it, and with the Dragonfire Potion, he is going to be able to clear the board. So Frozen, with that card in his hand, is going to be able to equal out this board control. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Dragonfire Potion is going to be down, and that just means now that the Auctioneer is gone for Exo. But that was a free Auctioneer from a Barn, so he still has the 1 or 2 in his deck. Most people run 2, and he's going to be able to use them down the line, and it's looking just really good for Exo at this point. But Frozen's being able to pick up some of those cards, it's just, this is way too slow for a Dragon Priest. You want to play a lot faster. He's kind of lucky that Exo has been having a really bad set of cards, and the Polymorph Potion there, although the Potion of Polymorph is a great card to have and sometimes, but when you are a rogue and you throw down a mage spell and there's only one way to get it, it's almost 100% of the time your opponent's going to know, oh, that's a Polymorph Potion. Good thing someone picked up the Twilight Whelp, so he's going to be able to use that down the line. So that pickup's going to really help Frozen out. And now the options for Exo, really nothing is that good in his hand. He might have to eviscerate this Bookworm just to clear it off the field, and just not really doing too well for either of the players here. Just the pickups weren't there. The Auctioneer was great for Exo, but he's still not really drawing anything off of that. He still has his Edward in some of his deck. He still has probably the Leroy, the Cold Bloods to go with it. We already know that he doesn't run patches, so there's no chance of picking that up. But he's actually sapping this Bookworm. My best guess is there's nothing really he's worried about that Bookworm destroying. And he doesn't want to waste an Eviscerate on that, because I believe did he use one already? I think he did. I don't remember actually if he used one in the early game or not, but if that's the case, he might just be trying to hold on to it. And with his sap already gone, Frozen realizes that he's going to be able to play this Azure Drake down, but there's another sap in the hand of Exo. But that's one of those things, yes, it's a 4/7 on the field. That's really hard to deal with, but do you want to sap it? That's more card draw for Frozen, and that's not really a good thing, especially when you could deal with that with a Fanonize and Eviscerate. You can clear it off, so I would actually like to see him do those 2 cards, get something off of the Phantom Knives as well, because this is one of the better Phantom Knives that you're going to have. And also, you could even just throw down the Blood Mage Thalnos too, and completely clear off that Talon Priest with your dagger, and I feel like that's exactly what he's going to do. Draws another Cold Blood. That is huge for an 8 damage swing turn at any point. He could actually use that now if he wanted to, if he thinks that X-Hope doesn't have another Power Word Death in his hand. Now we know he does. So if X-Hope plays around another Power Word Death, he should be fine, because a big 12-4 is going to be huge, but still being able to use that down the line with that Leroy combo is probably going to be much more beneficial for him. So will he use the Eviscer? Oh, he's going to Cold-Blooded, it seems. He's going to push the 8 damage now. And will he go full? Okay, so he's going to use 5 on the Azure Drake as well. He could have just pushed for about 15 or 16, oh, I can't do math, holy crap, 18 damage to the face, leaving him at 4 health, but he feels like he wants to try to make it so that he's going to force Frozen to have some answer to this Drake. Now we do see that Power Word Death, and that's going to come out almost immediately from Frozen. And sitting at 10 health, that's X-Hope is running out of answers. We already see him use at least 1 Eviscerate, possibly 2. I don't remember if he used 1 earlier or not. That's now 2 of his Cold Bloods completely gone. He still has Leroy, but this Priest is going to be able to hero power every turn and allow himself to get farther and farther in this game, just away from X-Hope, able to burst him down. And X-Hope with only sitting on 2 cards that's not really useful at all for him. Not looking good for him. He needs to find an Auctioneer. He needs to find some sort of card draw, and if he draws an Auctioneer, he also needs to get Conceal sometime soon in order to protect it, because we already know that one, well, that was a Barnes token, but if he only runs 1 in his deck, he has to protect it. He needs some sort of card draw right now. And the Draconoid OP, the operative coming out from Frozen. Kind of funny how he also hasn't been drawing them at all, so just not looking good for Frozen. He is leaving up the Blood Mage Thalanos, it seems, or no, he's going to go ahead and paint it, doesn't want to leave it up. The spell power is a little too scary. There's a questing that can be a start now for X-Hope. Counterfeit Coin not really going to be too helpful just yet. But he does know that all Power Word Deaths are gone. So if he does put questing up to 4 health this turn around, that means that Frozen's not going to really be able to do anything about it. We know that there's going to be at least 1 more Dragonfire Potion, so that's probably what he's scared of. There's no way of getting it out of Dragonfire Potion range. That is if Frozen does run 2, and maybe he's just too scared to throw that down right now. As far as I know, Frozen's not running any sort of Silence either. We know Priest has had that new Silence card, but not a lot of Dragon Priests are running it. So X-Hope is trying to figure out what is the best option for him. Does he just go full on with this questing and hope for the best, or does he just sit back, maybe just even wait a turn? There's only 3 damage on the board. He doesn't have to worry about taking too much. He can just go ahead and dagger and pass and hope that he draws something big on the next turn to allow him to get this questing off. Maybe even a questing Auctioneer, Counterfeit Coin, and maybe he'll draw some more cards, but he's actually just going to throw down the Potion of Polymorph now. Try to not allowing Frozen to put down a big minion. So as long as Frozen realizes what's been going on this game, he knows what that potion is, and throwing down a Twilight Whelp to get rid of it, that is exactly what you want to do in Frozen's position. So now Frozen just has all the options in the world right now. He could actually just throw down the Draconoid right now, get something big out of the side of X-Hope. Even an Edwin could help him out down the line, because you see the Power of Pain and the Whelp to get it to that at least a 6/6 or something along the lines. Even if you use the Defender of Argus, make it an 8/8, who knows what you could do with it, and they'll have taunts to defend it. Really at all. I'm trying to think if there is something bad that Frozen can get. Probably like a coin. If he picks up an Auctioneer, that would be huge, massive as well. But Frozen is actually holding off on it right now. I'm trying to figure out why he would. Oof, 2 of those big options that we said. He could go for Edwin if he thinks he could get some sort of big Edwin out, but I feel like the Auctioneer is going to be... No, he goes with it. I like this play here, because he could actually throw it down this turn for a massive one. He's played, let's see, 1, 2, 3. That would be an 8/8, I believe. Great pickup for Frozen here, giving himself a really big board. I think he should do it. I don't think he should hold on to it. He's not going to have a higher Edwin, but he really values that life tap, so he's not going to go for it. And he also doesn't want to overload the board. But in my opinion, what is he scared of coming on the board that's going to deal with it? It is an 8/8. I think he's just afraid of a sap, and then that was a wasted tap, and that's the only thing I can think of at this point, though. But X-Hope, picking up the Leroy right now, doesn't have the Cold Bloods to go with it as well, and that's going to make us wonder if those that 8 damage was used later down the line instead of so early on that Drake a couple turns ago. And this is just not looking for Exo. I can't see himself a way of getting back into this. He doesn't have a way to really get this questing going. It's going to be just very, very mediocre whenever he uses it, unless he picks up an auctioneer and has a massive turn. But that is one thing that's good about Miracle Row. You can have those massive turns. But at this point, he's just not having it. He's trying to find that auctioneer in his deck. And this makes me wonder if he is running 2. Because if he is running 2, this is just very unlucky of him. With drawing 19 cards and not drawing one of your 2 auctioneers, that would just be devastating. Even if it's only 1 auctioneer, that's less than a 50% shot of not having your auctioneer right now. So this is just not looking good for him. And this looks like just a pass turn. He can't do anything at this point, and this is just looking so good for Frozen. That Twilight Guardian just going to really seal it as well, not allowing Exo to go through it. Even if he has Sap, he's going to have to go through at least 1 taunt. Okay, I said at least 1 taunt. It looks like he's going to have to go through 4 taunts instead. This is just going to be Frozen's game. Exo needs to pick up something huge, but what can he pick up? Even if he picks up like a Shaku and somehow gets a attack off in the next turn, it doesn't really matter at this point. The Tomb Pillager, that's not really going to be enough. And just Exo drawing just awful this game. Not drawing any of those Tomb Pillagers early, not getting the Edwin when he needed it. It was still in his deck. Not getting an Auctioneer when he needed it. There was at least 1 still in his deck as well. Only getting 1 off Barnes. It was just very unlucky for him. But that's Hearthstone. That's what happens sometimes. And going to go back to the work I have to do. So thank you guys for joining me today. That was a very great game between these two, even though that they both drew fairly poorly, in my opinion. That's one thing that happens about Hearthstone. So when they both draw poorly, it gets to some pretty interesting matchups here. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching.